For the next hour, buckle up. I guess that's the right thing to say. It's turning out to be sort of a chaotic night in the news. The biggest developing story in the country tonight, maybe the biggest story yet of this presidency, is the White House apparently abandoning all pretense when it comes to explaining the firing of FBI Director James Comey. As a country, we have obviously never before had a president whose campaign was the subject of an active FBI counterintelligence investigation, so there really is no historical prescription in terms of what you ought to do, in terms of what might count as normal behavior in that circumstance. But still, for the last couple of days, even this White House, in its very unusual situation and with its very unusual relationship to political norms in general, for the last couple of days, even this White House appeared to accept the basic principle that a president should not fire the person leading an investigation into his campaign because the president doesn't like that investigation. I mean, for the past couple of days, the White House at least half-heartedly tried to explain the firing of FBI Director James Comey as something other than what it looks like. They produced a memo from the Deputy Attorney General saying the firing was about the FBI director's handling of the Hillary Clinton email investigation last year. They produced the Vice President of the United States to assure people in his calm, steady way that the president only fired the FBI director because of grave concerns about the FBI director coming from within the Department of Justice. The White House spokesman and his deputy told reporters that the firing was a DOJ decision, that it was all about the wishes of the Deputy Attorney General, that the memo from the Department of Justice was not written at the direction of the president, that the whole process was initiated by the Justice Department. The president knew nothing about it until he saw that memo. But when he saw that memo from the Department of Justice, it left him no choice. Literally, that was the phrase, no choice. For the last couple of days, they at least made a half-hearted case that the president didn't fire the FBI director because the FBI director is leading an escalating investigation into the Russia scandal. The biggest story in the country now, what may be the defining story of this presidency, at least thus far, is that now they have given up on even those half-hearted attempts at pretense. Now they are just going for it. It's like a dare. Basically, they're saying now, yeah, okay, you got us. Yeah, we fired the FBI director to kibosh the Russia investigation. We did. What are you going to do about it?
Did you ask for a recommendation?
What I did is I was going to fire Comey. My decision. It was not.
You had made the decision before they came in the room.
I was going to fire Comey. There's no good time to do it, by the way.
Because in your letter you said I accepted their recommendation.
Yeah, well,
so you had already made the decision.
I was going to fire regardless of recommendation.
So there was really
he made a recommendation. He's highly respected, very good guy, very smart guy. The Democrats like him. The Republicans like him. He made a recommendation. But regardless of recommendation, I was going to fire Comey, knowing there was no good time to do it. And in fact, when I decided to just do it, I said to myself, I said, you know, this Russia thing with Trump and Russia is a made-up story.
When I decided to just do it, when I decided to fire the FBI director, I said to myself, you know, this Russia thing is a made-up story. And so I fired the FBI director, who was leading the investigation into the Russia thing. A lot of people are looking at that admission from the president tonight in that interview with Lester Holt. A lot of people are looking at that clip, that tape, that statement by the president, as if what he said there was like almost an accident. Right? I think the reaction to that broadly is like, oh, he accidentally blurted out the real reason why he fired the FBI director. But you know what? And I do not mean this in a snarky way. I mean this as an observation. This president frequently sounds like he's just blurting something out accidentally. That's just the way he talks. But what he said there does not appear to have been an accident, because he said it calmly. He knew exactly what he was saying, obviously. He wasn't being badgered into it. He was riffing on his own terms. And he isn't the only one who said that today, because this was the way the professional communication staff at the White House started talking about this matter today from the podium in the briefing room.
Just to clarify one thing you said the president has encouraged this investigation into Russia. He wants to see it reach its completion sooner rather than later. How has he encouraged it if he just fired the man who is overseeing the Russia investigation?
There are multiple people that are part of this, and it's not just the FBI. You've got the House committee, the Senate committee. Look, again, the point is we want this to come to its conclusion. We want it to come to its conclusion with integrity, and we think that we've actually, by removing Director Comey, taken steps to make that happen. Thanks so much, guys.
You said you'd answer all of them.
Speaking of integrity, why not have an independent investigation then? That's what a number of attorney generals are asking.
Thanks so much, guys. Gotta go. Gotta go. By removing Director Comey, we have taken steps to make that happen. I mean, that's what she says there, right? Because we want this to come to its conclusion. We want this to come to its conclusion. We think that we've actually, by removing Director Comey, taken steps to make that happen. That's why we removed Director Comey. So the White House today has just dropped the pretense about why the president fired the FBI director. Yeah, we fired him for the Russia thing. We fired him to stop the Russia thing, to bring the Russia thing to an end. What are you going to do about it? So a lot of people are talking about obstruction of justice today, right? If the president did do what he said he did, if he removed the director of the FBI because he wanted to affect the FBI's investigation into his campaign and its ties with Russia, that would be, I mean, that's the kind of example you might make up if you were teaching a low-level class on obstruction of justice and you wanted to give your young students a crystal clear example of what that might look like, right? In a banana republic where things like that happen. As far as that goes, though, I mean, the remedy for obstruction of justice, if committed by a president, there's only one remedy to that, which is impeachment. I mean, obstruction of justice was the first article of impeachment against Richard Nixon. It was the third article of impeachment against Bill Clinton. Even though the Inspector General of the Department of Justice has now been asked by the House Oversight Committee to investigate the firing of FBI Director James Comey, any such investigation by the Inspector General of the Justice Department, that would only cover the actions of Justice Department personnel. It would not cover the actions of the President of the United States. If the President obstructed justice deliberately with this firing, if he fired the FBI Director to affect the Russia investigation, really the only remedy for that is impeachment. And raise your hand if you think this Republican Congress is going to take up impeachment proceedings against the president for obstruction of justice. Really. But let me raise another matter here, something that has not been discussed elsewhere. But it is about the potential for political interference by the president, by the president's closest advisors, on the Trump-Russia investigation.